Today on the Cardinal Sports Network, your Lawrence Cardinals will take on the Hopewell Valley Bulldogs in boys varsity basketball.
And now for the Bulldogs, head coach Mr. Matt Stein, assisted by Austin Fellows and Kyle Zutenhurst. Number 21 for the Bulldogs, Kevin Ellis. Number 1, Jake Sanderson. Number 11, Jan Velasic. Number 2, Gunnar Casano. And number 13 for the Bulldogs, Matt Torpy. And now for your Lawrence Cardinals, head coach Mr. Jeff Molinelli, assisted by Mr. Casey Reed and Mr. Nick Brackett. Senior number 10, Mike Boisel. Senior number 11, Riley Cahill. Senior number 1, Brandon Ford. Senior number 2, Toshawn Miller. And junior number 22, Robert Kelly. We remind you there's trash bins at the end of each bleacher. Please put all of your trash in those trash bins as the night goes on. Best of luck to both teams. Bathrooms are out in the main corner where you walk in.
You're watching the Cardinal Sports Network here on LTPS TV.
Now we get ready for the start of today's boys varsity basketball game with the Lawrence Cardinals taking on the Hopewell Valley Bulldogs. Toshawn Miller with the jump ball, and the Bulldogs are going to get the ball. Attempted steal there, and that's going to be out of bounds on the Bulldogs. Cardinal ball. Kelly to Boisel. Boisel brings the ball across the center court line. He'll pass it off to Kelly. Kelly back to Boisel. Over to Ford. Ford out to Cahill. Back to Ford. Kelly to Cahill. Cahill gets a little too close to that end line. It's going to turn the ball over to the Bulldogs. Now Bulldogs bring it across the center line. Three-point attempt. And it's good. First 3 points of the game scored by the Hopewell Valley Bulldogs. Now Boisel bringing the ball forward over to Cahill. Cahill to Ford, Ford to Boisel, and Boisel to Cahill. Back to Kelly, over to Boisel. Boisel goes across the lane. Now Ford goes up the lane, tries for the 2, can't get it, and it's going to be rebounded by the Bulldogs. Bulldogs back on the offensive. Good drive inside, didn't get anywhere, and they'll be called for the travel. That will give the ball back to the Cardinals. Kelly inbounds it to Boisel. Boisel streaking up the court. But there's a whistle on the play before the basket. It's going to be Cardinals ball. And a foul charged to Hopewell. First foul of the game. Kelly with the ball. I'm sorry. There's a shot by Ford off the rim. And Hopewell Valley coming the other way. Hopewell Valley trying to drive inside. They'll dump it back out. Top of the key, thought about the 3. They'll pass it out to the corner. 3-point attempt from the corner, off the rim. That was declared out of bounds. It'll be Cardinals ball. Kelly to Boiselle. Boiselle right up the middle. He'll pass it off into the corner. Ford comes out with it, passes it to Kelly. Kelly back to Cahill. Back to Ford. Boiselle to Ford. And that call is going to go against the Cardinals. It'll be Bulldogs ball. Bulldogs send it down the court. Now drive to the hoop, and they'll put it up. Did not get the easy two-pointer, rebounded by Miller. Now Boiselle bringing it forward. Ford coming across, fired over to Cahill. Cahill sends it into the corner. It's up for two off the rim. Out of bounds on the Bulldogs. Cardinals get the ball back. Boiselle looking for someone to pass to. He'll get it into Cahill. Cahill sends it across Kelly. Kelly drives under the hoop and puts it up for two. First points of the game for the Cardinals. Bulldogs still leading by one. Bulldogs on the attack. Into the corner it goes. Back out. Back into the corner. Back out again. Bring it back out of the corner. Now here's a drive in toward the hoop. Underhanded layup, does not score, but I believe he drew a foul in the process. It's going to send Kevin Ellis to the line, shooting two for the Bulldogs. Ellis lines up his first shot. He'll put it up. And a swish. Point for the Bulldogs. Oh, instruction there from the referee. Now he'll give the ball back to Ellis. Ellis puts it up. And he'll go 2 for 2 at the line. We'll hold up play for a moment for substitution. But it will be Cardinals ball when play resumes. Now Kelly to Boiselle. Boiselle across to Cahill. Cahill inside, but that pass is picked off, and the Bulldogs are going to head the other direction with it. Bulldogs working it around the perimeter. Now here's a drive inside. A pass back out. Underhanded layup does not score, and Miller with the rebound. Miller gets the rebound. Kelly with the three-point attempt. That one falls a little short. This time Bulldogs get the rebound. Bulldogs take it to the hoop for two. Bulldogs lead now 7-2 over the Cardinals. And the Cardinals are going to call a timeout. Coach Malinelli wants a moment to discuss things with his team, see if he can turn this game around. We'll take a quick break and be right back.
You're watching the Cardinal Sports Network here on LTPS TV.
Now the Cardinals will return to the court, where they'll be joined by the Bulldogs. It's going to be Cardinals ball. Cardinals inbound the ball. Boiselle brings it forward. And he'll take it to the hoop himself and get a quick two-pointer. Bulldogs moving it forward. A little tangle there. And it's going to be jump ball called. Possession arrow is going to give the ball to the Cardinals. Kellen Moore into the game will be inbounding the ball to Boiselle. Boiselle looking for a three-pointer. That one's off the rim and rebounded by the Bulldogs. Cardinals becoming a little more aggressive on the defense, but Bulldogs lay that up for another two-pointer. Boiselle bringing it the other direction. They'll send it back and forth, and see Robinson in the game as well for the Cardinals. Boiselle trying to set something up. And Boiselle takes it to the hoop for two more. Now Bulldogs bringing it the other direction. That one's stolen by the Cardinals. And Robinson puts it in for two. Cardinals coming back in this one. Apparently whatever Coach Molinelli had to say really helped them. Now Bulldogs advance the ball down the court. Cardinals with another steal. And it's Ford with a two-pointer. Cardinals take a one-point lead, first time in this game. Bulldogs under the basket. They'll retake the lead by 1 point. 10-11 now the score. Less than 2 minutes left in this first quarter. Ford slowing things down a little bit. He'll go for the three. That's off the rim and bounced off the top of the backboard. That's declared out of bounds. It'll be Bulldogs' ball. Bulldogs put the ball into play. Send it into the corner, back out again. And now over to the far side of the court. Far corner, back out again. And I believe there's going to be a foul called on that one. It's going to be Bulldogs' ball. Bulldogs put it into play in the backcourt. Bulldogs move it inside. And I believe he stepped out of bounds on that one. We'll see what the call is. No, that call is going to go against the Cardinals. It'll be Bulldogs' ball still. Bulldogs fire the ball into play. And put it up for 2 points. Bulldogs lead 13-10. Short time left on the clock. Boiselle takes it inside to the hoop. He's going to get fouled on the way up. That's going to send Boiselle to the line shooting 2 for the Cardinals. Boiselle puts up his first one. Bounces a couple times and falls into the basket. Point for the Cardinals. Down to a 2-point game. Boiselle with another opportunity. He puts it up. And that one's convincing for another point. Back to a 1-point game. Bulldogs with the ball. Bulldogs in the corner. And drive under the basket. Looking for that underhanded layup. And foul called against the Cardinals. Bulldogs ball. Bulldogs trying to get inside. They'll dump it back out. Moving the ball around. Running out of time. Now here's a drive inside towards the hoop, and it's turned over to the Cardinals. Cardinals send the ball down the court. It's picked off by the Bulldogs. There's the buzzer beater attempt, and that does not find the basket. So after 1 quarter of play, your Lawrence Cardinals have 12 and the Bulldogs have 13 in this very close boys varsity basketball game.
You're watching the Cardinal Sports Network here on LTBS TV.
Well, the Cardinals came out slow at the beginning of that quarter. Bulldogs racked up a bit of a lead, but Coach Molinelli able to rally the Cardinals, bring it back to a 1-point game. See what happens now in this second quarter. So waiting on the Bulldogs now. They're coming out onto the court. The Bulldogs will put the ball into play. Start the second quarter. Drive to the hoop is a fake. They dump it back outside. And now they'll put it up looking for the two. It's in and out. It's going to be rebounded by the Cardinals. As Bison Gregory with the rebound. Robinson gets tied up under the basket. It's going to be Cardinals ball. That goes out of bounds. Last touch by Bulldogs. Cardinals ball once more. Now ball put in for Ford. Ford hands it off to Boiselle. Boiselle with a drive to the basket. Put back by Kelly goes in, but I believe that was after the whistle. It's going to be Bulldogs ball. Bulldogs put the ball back in play. That's going to be turned over. Cahill comes away with it. Off to Robinson, and Robinson up looking for the two. That one doesn't fall. Rebounded by Kelly. Kelly off to Ford. Ford to Gregory. That one doesn't go in either, and the rebound this time by the Bulldogs. Bulldogs get tripped up there with the ball, and that's going to go out of bounds, turning it back over to the Cardinals. Shavaparan into the game. He'll put the ball in for Ford. Ford slowly bringing it forward. Trying to set something up. And Ford looking for the three. He drains that one. Cards take the lead back by 2. Now, Bulldogs on the attack. I believe that was going to be called a foul. It'll be Bulldogs ball. Cardinals have to start watching their fouls. They've got 6 on the board already. Not sure what the call is going to be on that one, but down goes the Bulldog, and the Bulldogs are going to call a timeout.
You're watching the Cardinal Sports Network here on LTPS TV.
The Bulldogs led most of the first quarter and came into the second quarter with a 1-point lead. Cardinals have taken the lead and are up by 2 as the teams will return to the court. It's going to be Bulldogs with the ball. Bulldogs fired into the backcourt to bring the ball back into play. Ball gets away, and it's going to be Kelly going down the court with the ball. He'll spin and go up for the 2. Can't get the basket, but I believe he's going to draw the foul. That's going to send Kelly to the line, shooting 2 for the Cardinals. Chance to extend the lead. Kelly shooting the first of 2. And it's good. Cardinals now with a 3-point lead. Kelly looking for a second. That one falls a little short. It's going to be rebounded by the Bulldogs. Bulldogs moving the ball around now. Thought about the 3, decided better of it. They'll get the pass and drop it back so the Bulldogs can reset. Bulldogs take it to the hoop, but that one does not connect. The putback is in for 2 points. And we're back to a 1-point game. Cardinals still leading. Cahill to Kelly, now Cahill to Ford. Ford off to the corner. Kelly sends it across, and it's going to be over to Ford. Ford looking for a way in. Instead, he'll send it over to Kelly. Kelly going up the lane. And I believe that's going to be a travel call against the Cardinals. No, it's going to be Cardinals ball. Cardinals still leading in fouls, but only by 1. Cahill looking for a way to get the ball into play. He'll fire it deep. Way back to Ford. Ford to Javaparan. Javaparan over to Cahill. Cahill drops it back to Miller. That pass is tipped out of bounds. It's going to be Cardinals ball. Javaparan looking for someone to pass to now. That pass is tipped out of bounds by the Bulldogs. Once again, Cardinals will have the ball. Javaparan over to Miller. That one's turned over. It's going to be Bulldogs with the ball. Bulldogs on the far side, working it back over towards the near side. Back out and up for the three-point attempt. That one is rebounded by Miller. Now Ford bringing the ball forward. Sends it over to Shavaparan. Back to Ford. Over to Kelly. Kelly goes in the lane off to Cahill. That call is going to go against the Cardinals. It'll be the Bulldogs' ball. Steal by the Cardinals, and it's Kelly going forward with the ball. That's going to be turned over to Bulldogs. Bulldogs can't get it in, and Robinson with the rebound. Over to Cahill. Cahill sends it forward, and Kelly inside. That one's going to be taken away by the Bulldogs. And foul called. It's going to be Bulldogs' ball. Cardinals now with eight fouls on the board. That's going to send Ellis back to the line shooting for the Bulldogs. He's doing pretty well from the foul line so far. Ellis looking to tie it up. Puts it up. And he sinks it. Tie game, 16 apiece. Now Ellis with a chance to put the Bulldogs back in the lead. Ellis puts it up, and he'll go 2 for 2 at the line. Cardinals ball. Shavaparan to Ford. Ford brings it forward. Hands it off to Kelly. Kelly across to Cahill. Gets away, but Cahill chases it back down. It's going to be Cardinals ball. Kelly to Cahill. Cahill bringing it forward. Over to Kelly. Kelly tries to go to the hoop. It's tipped out of bounds. Last touch by the Bulldogs. It'll be Cardinals ball. Cahill looking to inbound it. They'll send it to Ford. Ford back to Cahill. Cahill to Robinson. Robinson to Kelly. Kelly back to Ford. Robinson on the far side with the ball. They'll fire it over to Bryson Gregory, who lays it up for 2, and the Cardinals have got the lead back. Bulldogs looking to get in close to that basket. Instead, they'll fire off a three-pointer off the rim, rebounded by Robinson. Robinson's going to take it all the way down the court and lay it up for 2. Cardinals extend their lead now to 3 points, 20-17. 2 minutes left on the clock in this first half. Bulldogs looking to answer back. 3-point attempt from the corner, that's off the rim. Rebounded by the Bulldogs. And blocked shot there by Bryson Gregory as he slams that one down. Bulldogs ball. Bulldogs get the ball into play. Yeah, three-point attempt, in and out. The putback is good for two. Back to a one-point game. Ford brings the ball forward. They'll send it over to Robinson. Back across to Ford. Ford with the jump shot. That one's off the rim and rebounded by the Bulldogs. Bulldogs in the far corner. They'll bring it back out. And it's going to be a steal by Kelly, who takes it the length of the court. He'll get it in for the two and draw a foul. Cardinals now up by 3. And that should send Kelly to the line to shoot one more. Kelly lines it up, puts it up, and that one's in and out. Rebounded by the Bulldogs. Bulldogs trying to move it around and break away through that Cardinal defense. Loose ball is going to be recovered by the Bulldogs. Drive to the basket is up and good for 2. And we're back to a one-point ball game. He also drew the foul, so that's going to send Kevin Ellis back to the line, shooting once more for the Bulldogs. Ellis puts it up. That one's in and out and rebounded by Gregory. Gets away and Robinson grabs it. Robinson tied up. And Coach Molinelli is going to call a timeout. 27.9 seconds left on the clock in this first half. And Cardinals lead by 1 point after trailing most of the first quarter.
You're watching the Cardinal Sports Network here on LTPS TV.
Now the Cardinals will return to the court, hoping to extend that lead before going into the halftime. Bulldogs join them on the court. It's going to be Kelly inbounding the ball for the Cardinals. He'll drop it back to Ford. Ford letting the clock count down. Cardinals want to get that last shot off before the buzzer and not give the Bulldogs a chance to turn it around the other direction and put one in. Ford to Kelly, back to Ford. Ford looking for a long three-pointer. That's off the rim, and Bulldogs with the rebound. They'll launch it down the court, but to no avail. So at the end of the first half, it's your Lawrence Cardinals leading by 1 point, 22-21 over the Hopewell Valley Bulldogs. We'll be right back with a performance by the Lawrence Cardinal cheerleaders.
You're watching the Cardinal Sports Network here on LTPS TV.
Rolling left, right, rolling left, right. Baby, what you do? Let me see that down your head. Show you. Get the dance for me like nobody else in here. Show you. Come, bring it on down, let me do your dance. Show you. Show you. You impress me. I want one person on the floor to try to test me. Show you.
You're watching the Cardinal Sports Network here on LTPS TV.
For those of you just tuning in, we've got a pretty good game going on here between your Lawrence Cardinals and the Hopewell Valley Bulldogs. Bulldogs came out firing and led most of the first quarter and finished up the end of the quarter with a 1-point lead. The Cardinals came back and have made it a 1-point game with the Cardinals in the lead. Now Cahill brings the ball forward. He'll pass it off to Boiselle. Boiselle to Kelly. Kelly dumps it back out. Ford drops it back to Kelly. Kelly to Boiselle. Boiselle goes inside, off to Miller, who puts it up for 2, and the Cardinals extend their lead to 3 points. Steal by Ford, but that was going to go out of bounds. Possession will go back to the Bulldogs. Bulldogs put the ball into play. They'll work it over to the far side of the court. Now that pass picked off by Kelly, off to Boiselle. Boiselle to Ford, who puts it up for the 3. That's off the rim and rebounded by Kelly, who sends it out to Boiselle. Back to Ford. Ford going up the middle. A little too much energy on that one. Rebounded by Miller. That ball's tipped away, and the Bulldogs are going to come away with it. Now, Bulldogs looking for a way in toward that basket. Instead, they'll just go up for the 3, and he sinks it. We got a tie game here at the Bird's Nest. Cards 24, Bulldogs 24. Boiselle brings the ball forward for the Cardinals. He passes it off to Miller, who puts it up for an easy 2-pointer. Cards back in the lead by 2. Bulldogs now with the ball. And jump ball is going to be called as Cahill gets in there. Possession arrow is going to give it back to the Bulldogs. Bulldogs fire the ball back in. They'll work it over to the far side. Now back to the near side of the court. The Cardinals have gotten pretty aggressive with that full court press. Make it difficult for the Bulldogs to even get the ball moving. They managed to do so, however. Now they'll pass it over to the far corner. It's up for the 3-pointer. That one's no good, and it's going to be rebounded by Robinson. Robinson goes the length of the court, and he'll go down. No foul call. It's going to be Bulldogs with the ball. That may be called a foul. That's out of bounds on the Bulldogs. It'll be Cardinals ball. Boiselle bringing it forward. Boiselle goes driving in toward the basket. And I believe a push called before he went up for the shot. So that will give the Cardinals the ball at the end line. Boiselle looking for someone to pass to. Deep pass. Robinson really had to hustle to get to that one. He'll pass it off to Boiselle. Boiselle goes inside. Jump shot falls a little short. It's going to bounce out of bounds. Last touch by the Cardinals. Bulldogs ball. Bulldogs bring it back in. And they'll finally get it across the midcourt line. Bulldogs slowing things down a little bit. Now pass inside, back out, looking for the three, off the rim. Rebounded by Bulldogs. That shot doesn't go in either, and it's going to be rebounded by Boiselle. Boiselle inside to Miller, who puts it up for 2 more points. The Cardinals extend their lead to 4. Bulldogs tied up in the backcourt. And foul's going to be called. But so will a timeout. So we'll take a quick break and be right back with more exciting basketball action.
You're watching the Cardinal Sports Network here on LTBS TV.
For those of you just tuning in, Lawrence Cardinals versus Hopewell Valley Bulldogs in boys varsity basketball. Bulldogs actually led the first quarter with a 1-point lead. Cardinals answered back in the second quarter, and now here in the third quarter, they've extended their lead to 4 points. It's going to be the Bulldogs with the ball to restart the action. Waiting for the go-ahead from the referee. And now the Bulldogs will put the ball into play. Fire it into the corner. Bulldog goes down, but can't get the pass off in time, and he's going to be called for a travel. He's going to turn the ball over to the Cardinals. Boiselle bringing the ball forward. Off to Ford. Back to Boiselle. Kelly. Kelly to the hoop. That one's a little too strong. And that call is going to go against the Cardinals. It'll be Hopewell Valley Bulldogs ball. Bulldogs put the ball into play. They'll move it over to the near side of the court and back to the far side. Now advancing it in towards the basket. Back out again. Here's a drive inside and up for 2. Bulldogs narrow the gap to 2 points. Boiselle bringing the ball back. Pass to Kelly, back to Boiselle. Over to Ford, back to Boiselle. To Kelly, to Boiselle. Boiselle goes up, that one does not find the hoop, and it's going to be rebounded by the Bulldogs. Blocked shot, stopped by Bison Gregory again. Ford's layup rolls the rim, and it's rebounded by the Bulldogs. Bulldogs taking a little time to set up. Now looking for the 3, that's off the rim, rebounded by the Bulldogs. Bulldogs slowing things down, trying to make this possession count. Now into the corner. Bulldogs looking inside. They'll dump it back out. Another attack toward the basket. Going to go out of bounds. Last touch by the Cardinals. It'll be Bulldogs ball still. Bulldogs inbound the ball. three-point attempt. That's off the rim, rebounded by Ford. Ford to Kelly. Kelly gets the basket. Whistle on that one. He may have drawn the foul as well. Yes. Kelly will go into the line shooting one more. So Cardinals with a 4-point lead. Kelly with a chance to extend it to 5. Kelly puts it up, and he sinks it. Cards now with a 5-point lead. Now, Bulldogs put the ball back into play. Cardinals not doing that full court press that we saw earlier. Bulldogs moving the ball around, so far unable to penetrate the zone. Now drive up the middle, they'll dump it back out, move it into the corner. And that shot goes off the rim. It's going to be rebounded by the Bulldogs. I believe that's going to be a foul charged against the Cardinals. It's going to send Gunnar Casano to the line shooting, and he puts it in for a point. Casano's second shot is up, and he goes 2 for 2 at the line. It's now a 3-point game. Cardinals still leading, and they've got the ball. Jump shot from way out, looking for the 3 that's off the rim, and it's rebounded by the Bulldogs. Bulldogs go up and get the 2, and they've closed up to within 1 point with less than a minute left on the clock in this third quarter. Boiselle taking his time. He'll pass it over to Zavaparan and right back to Boiselle. Boiselle letting the clock tick down. Bulldogs afraid to overcommit. Now Boiselle starts moving. Boiselle with a drive inside. The shot is declared no good. No basket. And with 8 seconds left on the clock in this quarter, Bulldogs are going to have the ball. Bulldogs roll it in, trying to save as much time as they can for a final shot. And that one does not connect. So there's the buzzer for the end of the third quarter. Cardinals still leading by 1 point, 31-30. Stay tuned. We've got an exciting fourth quarter coming up for this game.
You're watching the Cardinal Sports Network here on LTPS TV.
There we see the Cardinal cheerleaders bringing the spirit to the crowd, and the crowd enthusiastically joining in. For those of you just tuning in, we are coming up on the fourth quarter of this exciting boys varsity basketball game with your Lawrence Cardinals versus the Hopewell Valley Bulldogs. Cardinals leading by 1 point. And they'll have the ball to start the fourth quarter. Cardinals inbound the ball. Boiselle brings it forward. And a whistle on the play already. Maybe that was a foul by the Cardinals. And now it's the Bulldogs with the ball. Bulldogs fire it down into the corner, now inside. And they'll draw the foul. It's going to send Palassa to the line, shooting 2 for the Bulldogs. First one is up, and it's good. We've got a tie game once more here in the Cardinals' nest. Palassa with another opportunity could actually give the Bulldogs the lead with this shot. And he'll do it. It's now the Bulldogs leading 32-31 over the Cardinals. Cardinals have the ball and a chance to answer back. Boiselle with the ball. Boiselle fires it over to Kelly. Kelly to Ford. Ford drives up under the basket. And I believe he may have stepped on the end line there. See what the call is. Well, it's going to be Cardinals ball. Foul by the Bulldogs. Boiselle fires it way back in the backcourt. Ford chases it down. Back to Kelly. Kelly to Ford. Ford can't get the shot off. Now he goes for the 3, and he sinks it. Cardinals back in the lead by 2. Bulldogs call a timeout. So we'll take a quick break and be right back with more exciting boys varsity basketball action from the Cardinals' nest.
You're watching the Cardinal Sports Network here on LTPS TV.
And the Cardinals will come back onto the court with a 2-point lead. A little bit more than last time. Now joined by the Bulldogs. It'll be Bulldogs with the ball. Bulldogs inbound the ball. Pass inside, back out. Bulldogs taking their time to set it up. And to the corner, pass inside, and the Cardinals swarm all over it, steal the ball, and it's Boiselle bringing it across the midcourt line. Over to Gregory. Gregory back to Ford. Ford going for the 3, and he drains it. Cardinals now with a 5-point lead. Good to see Ford hitting those 3-pointers again. He used to do that a lot last season. Now, Bulldogs working it around, trying to find a way into the basket. Bulldogs in from the far side, back out, and from the top of the key, that one's in for a 3-pointer to answer back. Back to a 2-point game. Boiselle with the ball. Boiselle to Kelly. Back to Boiselle. Over to Ford. Ford out to Boiselle. Boiselle drives it in. And I believe there's going to be a foul called on Hopewell. It's going to be Cardinal ball. Boiselle on the end line waiting to inbound the ball. And we see Toshawn Miller coming back into the game for the Cardinals. Boiselle looking for someone to pass to. He'll launch it into the backcourt. Ford chases it down, but he's got company. Now he'll bring it back the other direction, over to Boiselle. Boiselle inside to Kelly. Kelly over to Ford. Ford goes up the middle, now fires it out to Robinson. Robinson goes up for two, that's off the rim. And it's going to go out of bounds. It'll be Bulldogs ball. Bulldogs put the ball into play. Now moving it over to the near side of the court and back to center. And a jumper for two is off the rim, does not sink it. Second attempt no good, rebounded by the Cardinals. It's going to be Boiselle bringing it forward. That doesn't connect, and rebounded by Bulldogs. Foul called on that one. Going to send Palaska back to the line, shooting two for the Bulldogs. I believe he went 2 for 2 last time he was at the line. A little safety check on the floor there. It's good to go. Palasa shooting two. First one is up, and that one does not connect. He'll get another opportunity. Palasa shooting one, and he goes 0 for 2 at the line this time. Cardinals still with a 2-point lead, and they get the ball back. Now Boiselle sends it across to Robinson. Robinson to Ford. Ford for 3. That one's off the rim. Going to be rebounded by the Bulldogs. Bulldogs move it into the corner. Back out again. Now drive toward the basket. And that was turned over. Boiselle streaking down the court with the ball. He'll go to the basket. And he sinks it for another 2. It's a 4-point game now. Cardinals 39. Bulldogs 35. Bulldogs back on the attack. Pass to the far corner. Can't get the shot off. We'll move it to center. Now over towards the near side. Inside basket does not go in, but foul on the play. That's going to send Ellis back to the line shooting for the Bulldogs. He's been pretty consistent at the foul line. Ellis shooting 2. First one is up. That one does not connect. Ellis will have another opportunity. Ellis puts it up, and he'll get one basket out of that. We're down to a 3-point game. Cardinals still leading 39-36 over the Hopewell Valley Bulldogs. Boiselle bringing the ball forward. It's going to be Cardinals ball. Cardinals send it way into the backcourt. Boiselle runs back and grabs it. Over to Ford. Ford crosses it to Robinson. And back to Ford. Ford's going to draw the foul. Cardinal ball. Kelly will be inbounding it. He sends it over to Ford. Ford to Boiselle. To Robinson. Inside to Miller. Back out to Robinson. Over to Boiselle to Ford. I'm sorry, Kelly. Back to Boiselle. Robinson. Robinson to Boiselle. Hopewell Valley defense seems to be a little more aggressive as we get near the end of the game. I believe that's going to be called a foul. That was saying Robert Kelly up to the line, shooting 2 for the Cardinals. Bulldogs with 7 fouls on the board now. Kelly puts it up. Bounces around a couple times, rebounded by Miller. Over to Robinson and back to Boiselle. Cardinals hang on to the ball. Boiselle dribbling it around. Can't find an opening, and now he's going to be triple teamed. Mad scramble for possession there. Kelly ends up on the floor. And we're going to take a quick break and be right back.
You're watching the Cardinal Sports Network here on LTPS TV.
Kelly able to walk off the court under his own power, and Chevaparan will come in to take his place. It's going to be Bulldogs ball after a jump ball was called. Bulldogs put the ball into play. It's into the corner, back out again, now over to the far side. Bulldogs bring it back out again. That one's going to be turned over, and Boiselle was swarmed as he recovered the ball. I believe that's going to send Boiselle to the line for foul shots. Be Boiselle shooting 1-1. If he makes the first one, he gets a second one. First one is up, and he sinks it. Now a 4-point game, and Boiselle with another shot coming. Timeout called. So we'll take another break and be right back with more exciting boys varsity basketball action.
You're watching the Cardinal Sports Network here on LTPS TV.
Coach Molinelli trying to make the most of this timeout. And given a prompt by the referee to get the team back on the court. And now they'll come out onto the court, ready to try and finish out this basketball. 47 seconds away from a win. Cardinals leading by 4 points. And Boiselle, who's already scored one free throw, has another one coming. Boiselle puts it up. Out and bounces out. And Bulldogs are going to come away with the rebound. Well, Bulldogs on the attack. They lay it up for two, and we're down to a 2-point game with 30 seconds left on the clock. Ford to Boiselle, back to Ford. Ford passes it over to Shivaparan. Shivaparan to Ford. And Ford is going to be fouled with 16.8 seconds left on the clock. That'll send Ford to the line shooting foul shots. Ford shooting 1 and 1. First one is up. And it's good. Cards extend it to a 3-point lead with about 17 seconds left on the clock. Now Ford lining up his second shot. He'll put it up. That one bounces off the rim, and Bulldogs get the rebound. Bulldogs trying to get the shot off, and from the corner a three-pointer, and it's in. Bulldogs have scored a 3-point shot to tie things up here at the Cardinals' nest. Talk about your buzzer beaters. And we're going to be going into overtime. Unbelievable turn of events as the Cardinals look to have this one wrapped up. Bulldogs managed to get off a last-second three-pointer. So we'll be going into overtime.
You're watching the Cardinal Sports Network here on LTPS TV.
Both teams have come out onto the court. Clock set to 4 minutes for this overtime period. After 4 hard quarters of play, we got tie score, 41-41, and 4 minutes to settle it. Referee getting everything organized. It'll be a jump ball. Miller goes up for it, and he'll get the ball. Drops it back to Boiselle. Boiselle to Ford. Ford going inside. He'll pass it back out to Shivaparan. Over to Ford. to Robinson. Robinson looking for the three. That's off the rim. And Bulldogs will get the rebound. Bulldogs looking for a way into the basket. There's a shot that does not connect, but rebounded by the Bulldogs. Bulldogs moving the ball around. Now slowing things down a little bit. Moving the ball over to the near side of the court. Pass inside. Three-point attempt. And that's rebounded by Boiselle. Boiselle brings it down the court off to Ford. Ball stolen, but it rolls out of bounds. Cardinals will get the ball back. Looks like Shivaparan will be putting the ball into play. Into Boiselle. Now Boiselle goes in, dumps it back out to Robinson. Robinson can't get in either. He'll drop back and reset. Pass to Boiselle. Boiselle goes into the basket, lays it up, no basket, and it's rebounded by the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs, the putback is good for two. The Bulldogs have taken the lead, 43-41. Cardinals with the ball, and 1:30 on the clock. And Cardinals are going to call timeout. Where was that shot when they needed it?
You're watching the Cardinal Sports Network here on LTBS TV.
Those of you just tuning in, we're in overtime. Cardinals versus the Bulldogs. Bulldogs now leading 43-41. With about 1.5 minutes left on the clock, and the Cardinals have the ball. Shivaparan will be inbounding the ball for the Cardinals. Passes it to Boiselle. Boiselle slowly circling now, drive to the basket, and Boiselle puts it in for two, and he draws the foul. We're tied up again here at the Cardinals' nest in overtime. Boiselle will be shooting one. Chance to put the Cardinals back in the lead and potentially even with the win. Boiselle puts it up. That one's in and out. It's rebounded by the Bulldogs. Coming up on the 1 minute mark. Bulldogs with the ball. Moving it into the corner. Back out. Now over to the far side of the court. Back towards center. And back into the near corner again. Pass inside, drive to the hoop, and they'll put that one up for two. Cardinals with the ball. Coming up on 30 seconds. Boiselle drives up. That shot is blocked, and the Bulldogs get the rebound. Bulldogs miss the shot, and it's rebounded by the Bulldogs. That may be a foul by the Cardinals. Bulldogs leading 45-43 with about 19 seconds left in overtime. Bulldogs with the ball. And the Bulldogs are going to call timeout.
You're watching the Cardinal Sports Network here on LTPS TV.
Tense moments over there at the Cardinals bench as Cardinals are trailing by 2 in overtime. They'll come back out on the court full of fresh ideas from Coach Molinelli. Now they're joined by the Bulldogs. It's going to be the Bulldogs with the ball. Bulldogs put the ball into play. They'll drop it back and be fouled again. Cardinals stop the clock. That's going to send Gunnar Casano to the line shooting for the Bulldogs. Casano puts it up, and he sinks it. Now a three-point game. Casano will have another shot. If he sinks his last one, it could put the game out of reach for the Cardinals. It's up, in and out. Rebounded by the Bulldogs. And somebody fouled somebody, I'm not sure who. Well, it was another Cardinal foul. And it's going to send Kevin Ellis to the line shooting for the Bulldogs. Ellis was hot at the foul line in the first half, but last time up here he went 0 for 2. He'll put it up, and that's going to be rebounded by Miller. And another timeout called with just 6.4 seconds left on the board. Cards trailing by 3. They'll have time for one shot when they get things going again. It's going to have to be a three-pointer just to keep this game alive. We'll be right back after this.
You're watching the Cardinal Sports Network here on LTPS TV.
At the end of the fourth quarter, the Bulldogs were able to sink a three-pointer as a buzzer beater to tie this game up. Now the Cardinals find themselves in a similar situation. They need a three-pointer to tie it back up again to put it into a second overtime. Shavaparan over there waiting to inbound the ball. Now the Bulldogs come out onto the court. Whatever happens next, it's got to happen fast. Shavaparan looking to inbound the ball. There's a three-point shot by Boiselle. It's off the rim. Bulldogs have won the game. Very close, exciting matchup between these two teams. But it's going to be the Bulldogs victorious over the Cardinals with a score of 46-43. Thank you to Lila Wisixano for operating camera for this event, and thank you all for watching. Be sure to tune in again next time for more exciting Cardinal sports action on LTPS TV.